Hello everyone and welcome to the Foodeshow. Today we'll be discussing a very important topic. It is mainly very technical and very technological. It's augmented reality and virtual reality and how it will reshape the food industry. Today with us, we have Rania Reda, CEO of Augmania, and Aidan Connolly. He's done a lot of things, but he's also president of Agritech Capital and other. I would like for you to present yourself. That's even better than me presenting you. So Rania, if you want to go first.
Thank you, Hodan. Thank you for inviting us to share our insights here. I'm very excited to be with you. As you said, I'm the founder and CEO of augmania.com, which is the first no-coding platform for creating web-based augmented reality experiences. That means it runs on mobile browsers. It doesn't require any app to be developed or to be downloaded. So we're trying to make it easy for everybody to engage with the AR. I've been in this technology field for more than 22 years, helped a lot of businesses with AR, and a large sector of them came from FMCG. So I'm happy to share some info, insights, and maybe some tricks and tips here.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. Aidan, if you would like to present yourself and tell us more about how you are involved and as well about your book.
Okay, so my name is Aidan Connolly. I'm the president of Agritech Capital. I also work with a startup called Caintus, which is involved in facial recognition of cows. My interest is very much in helping startups work through the whole field of food tech, agri-tech, everything from finding customers, understanding better how to present their offering, to the use of artificial intelligence, and in particular even the areas of funding. Yes, I've written quite a lot. I've written blogs on my LinkedIn page, including how artificial intelligence will save the food industry, which is, I think, one of the reasons why we've had a very interesting conversation about that the last few weeks. And written books also on sales and marketing to help, again, businesses and startups really do a better job of presenting technology.
Thank you so much. Yes, exactly. That's what I've been prospecting interesting profiles to be speaking at the first edition of the Foodeshow, and I found your article very interesting. So, Rania, you spoke about the platform that you have founded and how it is very easy, very simple, and there's no coding involved. I would like you to share with us some projects that you have done for the food industry and how it was helpful to boost their business, their image, and how it was done.
So different use cases, actually. One of them used our platform for developing marketing content. So whenever you see a billboard in the street, that was Coca-Cola, to be honest. So whenever you see that Fanta bottle on a billboard in the street, and then you can scan it, and then it comes to life and you see it moving and it transforms into a game that, you know, the youth can play and enjoy, and it created a lot of hype. Other than that would be like, you know, a brochure that you see some information, you scan it using your phone. And the best part of it, that's what I said, it's a no coding to develop, to create the content. So it's for creatives and people who work on visuals and, you know, the concept of the experience, not with technical skills. That's the point. And on the other side, once you just pull up, you know, you pull up your phone and then open the camera, you scan the QR code or the image, and you start engaging with the content. Some other experiences was with Costa, where you know, standing in a line, going to, you know, your turn to order your coffee. So instead of getting bored in this time, you can just play a game, scan the QR codes that's there, it transforms into a game, and you play an AR game in an AR environment. If you win until you reach your order, you get your coffee for free. So that type, one sector is the entertainment, engaging, and you know, getting more customer, more traction to your product. The other use case, which I see very important, was sending the information that, let's say, the after sales rep is in the product itself. So you are at a hyperstore, you're buying, let's say, a coffee machine, and then you're not sure which one to buy. just scan the coffee machine, the QR code on the package itself, and it gives you all the information about the assembly, the warranty, where to find the spare parts, everything you need. So you don't need anybody, an associate to ask for. And when you take it at home, usually you just, buy the thing and then put the manual somewhere. So whenever you find something that's not working right and you need to get back to the manual to see the information, you don't need it anymore because it's all encrypted in an AR environment on top of that. Other use cases would be at the restaurants. So especially with the COVID-19, when the restaurants started to reopen, they wanted to have a touchless environment. So we had an AR embedded into a QR code that stick on the table, and then you scan it and you see the menu digitally on your phone, and you can order and place your order. You do everything without touching, menus or touching anything at the restaurant. There were a lot of use cases in that sense. Even in shopping malls, there were also some engaging, like kind of treasure hunt. You want to find some information, and then you go find it, collect the bits and pieces of the picture. When you have the full picture, you can redeem it and get a gift. And for that, we had got an award in UK for the best creative campaign. But what I see really valuable when it comes to the food industry is the tracking, tracing information, ingredients, allergy, all the information that's relevant to me as a buyer, that I can find it on a package. Once I scan it, and then I see all the information popping up in an AR environment, and I see the data that I need to know.
Great. So it could be, there's plenty of uses for augmented reality in the food business, and it's mainly to engage with your final client, because it's very important everybody's doing that, and also to trace the information, make the client comfortable. Also, you have mentioned that touchless. So with the COVID-19 and the requirements, it can help. So this technology can help. Now my question is for you, Aiden. You've wrote quite a few how technology will save the food business. Can you please share with us your insight regarding that?
Yeah, I focused on artificial intelligence, and I have to say, having listened to Rania, I'm getting very enthusiastic about going back, Rania, and finding out what you've written, what you've published. I hope you have some of them openly, that you're not just sharing it only with your customers. Augmented reality is a very exciting technology. There are about 8 technologies, I think, that are transforming the food business. I think it's very important to think about robots, important to think about virtual reality, blockchain. All of these are buzzwords within what we see. But I focused on artificial intelligence. And I think artificial intelligence is almost like the glue, the secret sauce, the underpinnings of all of these technologies. Anything that we're doing moving forward, artificial intelligence is a very vital part of what we're going to see. So I thought about artificial intelligence and its use. Clearly, if you get the chance to visit Alibaba's stores, the Hema stores in Shanghai, which I have, or the Go stores, the Amazon stores, these are the opportunity to go in, pick up produce, examine it, learn where it came from, provenance, where the food came from, safety, understand more of the health aspects of it, and then either bring it home or cook it on the spot. In the case of Hema, it's such an amazing ecosystem of selling. For those that haven't seen it, there's some great videos on YouTube describing what it does. Artificial intelligence being used in the food industry also by groups such as group I worked with, Pepsi, looking at sustainability. I've worked with Kerry Foods, where they're actually using the trends and being able to predict how people are reacting to changes in flavor. They can help you understand better the market trends. In other words, how you should design your foods, how you should flavor your foods, how you should reach what I'd call not just consumer values, but prosumer values. That is, consumers that are proactive about how they choose the food products that they put in their bodies and their mouth. And of course, food waste is a massive issue. The ability to change the pricing on the grocery store shelf, the ability to look at maybe removing people from the chain of what's being purchased and why it's being purchased, and use smarter systems to make us more efficient about making sure we're not buying things that consumers are not requiring, and therefore we reduce food waste within the system. Artificial intelligence really represents a massive opportunity to replicate what happens in our brains the cognitive function of a human to replicate in a way that makes for us, not just for smarter decisions, but smarter humans as we inform the food system, the food companies, how to do their jobs better.
I think it's all fallen in part because we have different subjects that have been discussed during the Foodeshow. We're talking about blockchain, and we're talking about the Industry 4.0, and everything is merging together because you cannot do one without the other. Everything is interconnected. Technology is here to help engage with consumers, provide a better quality, and especially also on sustainability. You mentioned how important food waste are. We on a consumer perspective, a lot of consumers are going towards brands that are sustainable, that are thinking about the environment, that are fair trade. How do you think this technology can help, and how much it costs? Like for a supplier, let's say for instance an e-tailer who wants to start communicating in that regard with his client, how can he put the technology together, and what is needed to be steps to be taken to be operational? Rania, do you have anything to share with us in that regard?
Well, I remember now a startup in San Francisco we were working with. They were doing, they were in the fashion industry, but they were using mushrooms and orange peels and things like this to produce the fashion. So it was very interesting experience. They were going experimental with anything that you can think of in terms of evading the food waste. So that's what led them to this, and they wanted to tell the story about it. So you go to the store, you buy a shirt, and you know that this shirt is very expensive, but then you need to understand why are you contributing with your money here to save the environment in a sense. So we wrote all the story. We had it in a video, 3D model, even from the mushroom, like in shape, and then how they are processing it until they reach, because you cannot believe it. You see the shirt and you cannot believe it was a mushroom one day. So the making of it, and then we augmented videos, we augmented 3D models, we augmented animation. So once you scan the tag on this t-shirt, you can see all this information. You get attached to the process, and you understand the story and see the sustainability of it. So I mean, there's a lot of, I would believe, I agree with in what he said about this deep technologies and how they are transforming not only the food industry, but actually our life, So everything we touch, everything we deal with is gonna be affected in a way or another with these deep technologies. So unless we are super aware of this and we make sure that the impact with the technology is in a positive way, there are also so many negative ways that we have to avoid. So that's why, I mean, even with the young generation, it's very important for them to understand how technologies can impact all such things that we are dealing with.
Great, thank you, Rania. Aidan, do you have any use cases, any examples, or should I ask you more of technical?
No, absolutely. So sustainability, particularly for somebody who's been involved with the farming industry, will tell you it's something that a lot of people complain about and say it's going to cost me money, but consumers want it, and they view it as being a minimum requirement of businesses in the future. So it has to be delivered. One of the companies I'm working with, clearly a lot of my time is Cantus. Cantus is the corner of your eye in Latin, and they came up with the idea of putting the letters AI in the middle to make the word, a new word, Cantus. So Cantus uses cameras to watch cows. We know that if cows eat more feed, if they've got more food available to them during the day, if they get more time to lie down, the welfare is better, they produce more milk. But it also has tremendous implications for sustainability. So cows that are happier, cows that are healthier, and cows that eat more also produce more milk, and getting more milk per cow means that we get a lower carbon footprint, which is a lot of the discussion at the moment about how do I feel about drinking milk from cows. Farmers often say yes, but what else could we do to take grass and convert it into milk? Nothing. But still, it's really interesting to think about how all of these aspects critical in terms of our environmental footprint and what we're doing to assure the sustainability of the world for the next generation that come afterwards. I think a lot I've mentioned already about food waste is extremely important from a sustainability perspective. I see some food companies now advertising, I saw a chicken company in Australia advertising that their chicken requires less water per kilo or per pound of meat than if you get chicken from another company, because they put a lot of water saving devices into their production process at the food plant. So all aspects of what we can do, reducing use of plastics, reducing use of water, reducing the carbon footprint, everything we can do with recycling. All of these are, I would say, no longer nice to have. These are the price you pay for being in the food business. And therefore, everything we can do with digital technologies to address those concerns of the consumers is absolutely essential.
I agree with you, and it's all about the consumer, and it's all about the environment that we grow in, and we have to be careful on what the choice is, because sometimes the investment, the money investment is not worth not to have. Like you said, it's not nice to have; it's a must-have nowadays. And if we don't do it, we're out of business in a way.
Yes.
I want to go back and like give examples about virtual reality and how it helped some. Companies train people, because we know that the biggest problem we have during all the sessions and the webinars that we have been curating, it's mainly when you have the technologies here, but the human resources have to adopt that technology and have to be using it to the best, optimized. So do you have any examples about like virtual reality and how it can help the HR? And again, we'll go again, and then we'll talk about how it could help the business. Rania?
Yeah, so I would say COVID-19 was with all the bad thing it came with, but it was like, the great example on how we should be prepared for the unexpected. So if we would consider or used to consider augmented reality or virtual reality as a nice to have thing, after the COVID-19, it became a must have. Because, you have here an engineer sitting in Stuttgart or whatever, and then he has a lot of technicians all over the world that you cannot travel to them anymore. You cannot go solve a problem yourself. So you need to communicate with the team remotely. You need to transfer your expertise in a way that they can quickly digest and adapt and can use the same techniques that you are doing. So the easiest way was to face this problem is the AR and VR environment. While I'm sitting here and then I have a technician somewhere around the world, and then I can send him smart glasses with some instructions, and then he is functioning on a device, on a machine, whatever he is doing. I can give him the instruction on how to assemble, how to maintain, how to fix it, how to troubleshoot what he's going through. And the instruction is based on real view of what he is seeing right now. And all the data and all the sensors and measurement that he is getting, I'm receiving that remotely from where I'm sitting. So I'm sharing his eyes, I'm sharing my eyes, I'm seeing what he's seeing. I can give him all the information and expertise that I have, so that I'm enabling him to solve the problem without having to travel and get, the risk of contracting COVID-19 somewhere. So we've seen a lot of acceleration in that field, in the sense of whether industrial or maintenance services that would help, as I said, like share the experience or the knowledge and expertise that I have using the AR and VR environment.
Great. Aidan?
Yeah, so similarly, I think of McDonald's in the UK. McDonald's has had issues with, obviously, people wanting to know where their food comes from. So they've offered the opportunity, using virtual reality goggles in their fast food stores, in their quick service stores, for you to be able to see the farms where that food came from. And eventually, obviously, that can open up other parts of the food chain. So that degree of transparency being demanded by consumers is virtual reality is a really interesting technology to help us with that. I think this, Rani has mentioned, but this move from augmented reality to virtual reality, it is a continuum, and we have places that are pure augmented, and we place parts of it that are purely virtual reality, and of course we have things in the middle. And so I really think, when I think of virtual reality, I think of things that are not well accomplished using augmented reality. Virtual reality in particular, I see for situations that are not safe, particularly for extreme distances, and can be very useful for invasive techniques. I've seen at the University of Liverpool where they're now using it in their veterinarian college with horses and cows to teach the veterinarian students how to work with animals without actually having an animal involved. So therefore we don't have welfare issues. It allows us to train people in that manner. Last year, I had the opportunity to go to Saudi Arabia, also to go to Africa. Very struck by the challenges of getting things from one country to another, to move parts from one place to another, and the time that can be wasted while you're waiting for your equipment to get started again. So clearly, 3D printers can address that. But that said, once I've printed the new part, how do I know how to put it in place? And I think some of the examples Rania gave us already of how we can help by distance to train people and explain to them, look, this is what you need to do. This is how you unassemble your parts of your food processing equipment when you put the new part in, and how you put it back together again. All of those things virtual reality can really help with as well. But I think particularly distance, safety, and invasiveness, that's where I see real opportunities for virtual reality to do what, particularly in a COVID environment, what we can't do today.
Great, thank you, Aidan. I believe in the COVID, it's been an accelerator for adopting new technology. I think the Foodeshow is one thing, like who would thought out virtual trade show would exist, but we are using technology that is based on artificial intelligence actually to be able to achieve that. But I want to emphasize on one thing. The cost of virtual reality is very affordable. Technology has been coming a long way, don't you think? Like to implement.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, of course. I mean, thinking of AR and VR, 5-10 years ago, it was super expensive. It was super complicated because you have rare talents, the players in the market developing or manufacturing the smart glasses or the smartphones that enables the AR and VR to be seen and accessed and touched and experienced. Was super expensive. But now the market is more open. There's a lot of investment in that sector, which allows a lot of other new maybe startups and big players. Even you see the four big, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Apple, they are investing in AR and VR like crazy. And they are seeing that this is part, Tim Cook said, we're going to experience AR 3 times a day at least. So this is his vision, and this is how he sees it. And I think that made him accelerate in terms of enabling, like as we speak now, we have 500 million mobile devices which are AR enabled out there in the market, which was not there 5 years ago.
Yeah, with volume, a lot of things can be happening. 500 million phones. Aidan, how do you see the future? We want to go and focus on the future. What's your insights? What do you think that will happen in the near future, in a long run as well, when it comes to this technology and how it could reshape the food industry? Because our main focus is also the food industry.
Look, I'd never on a call ever agree to give a long-term vision anymore. Things are just moving too quickly. I hear somebody says, where will we be in 2050? And I go, I mean, who knows? Probably humans may not exist in the way that we think of. We may be into augmented humans as well. I think the primary things I think about, Rani already mentioned the superpowers of AI in the United States. Clearly, there are superpowers of AI in China as well, the so-called BAT companies, Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent, and they're investing massive resources in this area. That's going to accelerate what we see. From a hardware perspective, we see a gradual decline in the cost of hardware by between 10 and 15%. So, using Moore's law, we can also expect to see an acceleration of the adoption of technologies, both from large companies, governments, but more importantly, probably by startups now who have access to the platforms to allow them to create tremendous technologies. What does a food business do? I think we've already said it without saying it on this call. Coronavirus has changed the business of food utterly, and I don't believe we're going to go back to the way it was ever before. Should I say that we're going to go back to the way it was before ever again? I think that you need to look at how these technologies change your supply chain. You need to look at how they change your supplier choice. You need to look at how they change your interaction with consumers. And you need, of course, to look at how you use technology within your system to reduce the need for human labor where it's not required, or where perhaps the system has put too many people too close together. And we understand in a pandemic like the one we're facing at the moment, that's not a good thing. Creates the ideal breeding grounds for infections to go from person to person. I'm most excited by the interactions with consumers. I think that giving consumers the power to understand what they buy, why they buy it, and what the effects will have on their health and their family, that's just a very exciting area. And while I know it will cost money, you've mentioned that a few times, in terms of the cost that has for the food industry to implement these technologies, I also believe that it does present tremendous opportunities to gain more value. Either charge a higher price maybe for something that the consumer values more, or where the consumer will be more loyal to it afterwards. So yeah, I'm reluctant to tell you 2050, but I can tell you that 2015 and 2020 will look very different than today. 2025 and 2030, excuse me, I'm off by a few years, will look very different than it looks today. And I really think we should all be very excited by that.
Great. Rania, any insights on how you see the future?
Well, I see a lot of people thinking, what's next? How can we prepare again for the unexpected? Corona came at a very unexpected time, and the impact was really unexpected. And you saw a lot of big, let's say, airlines that you can never think of them going bankruptcy. So, and that took us to a question of their sustainability, not even of the business, but also of the business model itself, not for the core product they're developing, but for the business model. Is it really sustainable? So I see a lot of startups around me thinking of how can we build a startup that can be sustainable, to go and to live and to grow in a way that really could be agile and adapt to whatever happens. I see a lot of SMEs thinking of digital transformation as a must. Like, most of the small shops and retailers are, approaching us asking for e-commerce solutions that they can let their customer see their products, visualize it in 3D models using AR while at home, because they're closing their stores, the brick and mortar. So all what they have or left with is the online e-commerce platforms. So I see a lot of changes coming. Most of them are going to adapt different techniques, different business models, lots of digital transformation. It's the term, it's the trend now. Everybody's looking, how can I, do it? What can I do? And how can I make sure, even, for the young women led businesses that I mentor, they're thinking, okay, now we're working from home. How we can really do work from home? Are we ready for that? How can we manage the team and make sure that they are doing the job on time, and how we can be in control while everybody's working remotely? So, and you see a lot of like Twitter and other big companies, they're giving their employees the option to work remotely forever. So they're not going back to their offices. There's a lot of changes in the environment, in the business ethics here, and even the team building. When you say, okay, we're going to go to the office today or have this meeting to talk about what we have as a team, you cannot do it anymore. You have to think of different leadership, skills and that you need to manage this new environment.
Great. I want to leave you just with one thought, and then let's say a problem that I'm facing right now with traditional people, because Aiden said we will never go back to the way we did business in 2019, and I agree with you 100%. Some of the clients that we've approached for the Food E-Show said there's no food show without tasting. How technology, your technology, whether it's artificial, virtual, augmented, do you know Emeril Lagasse? Emeril Lagasse a long time ago, he says, I wish we had smell-o-vision. So you can, he's a chef, and he was cooking on TV, was on the Food Channel, and every time he cooks, then he does like that, and he goes, oh, I wish you had smell-o-vision. This is where you can smell how good the food is. So now we are faced with this problem. How can you smell the food on the Food E-Show, and how can you taste the food on the Food E-Show? Do you think that we can resolve this matter anytime soon?
Well, Aiden, if you want to take this question, it's tough for me. What I think is that there are some senses that you cannot digitize, but.
Well,
it was just... Go ahead, Aiden.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I had the opportunity, as some of us have, to go to some of these virtual, these 360-degree screens where you watch a video, and then halfway through, when they go through the waves, you suddenly get a splash of water over your face.
Yeah.
So why not? Why can't we have a smell generator on our TVs or on our smart devices that gives us the sense of being really there and seeing? But clearly, sadly, or maybe it's a good news, the sense of smell is extremely complex. And it's interesting to see how difficult it is for us to replicate that using machines and even using artificial intelligence. So while it is something that I really believe is possible to do, it's clearly not coming anytime soon.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Rania, it is a very impossible question, and it was just the challenge and wishful thinking.
Well, I hope I have a solution for that. However, I believe there are some senses like, the touches, the smells, the taste. Those senses, there will remain human. That's what I think.
All right. Well, thank you both for accepting our invite. I'm reminding everybody who's watching, you can ask questions and they'll be happy to answer them. Thank you for accepting our invite. I will get you networking. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.